This conference will now be recorded.
Starting it. Hello. Can you? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay, fine. Thank you. Okay, let's start with the today's topic. Actually, can everybody see my screen? I hope you can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's start now. Last class you have been dealt with Amavata, right? I think Saturday ma'am has taken Amavata about you. So today we will start regarding the modern aspect. So what Amavata exactly correlates in modern science is rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, everybody knows what is arthritis, right? Arthritis is nothing but itis. Itis means inflammation. Inflammation in the joints. So any inflammation in the joints leads to arthritis. So in today's topic we will be dealing with rheumatoid arthritis. So rheumatoid means nodules. Okay, nodule formation in between the interphalangeal joints. So we call it as rheumatoid arthritis. Specifically to say about rheumatoid arthritis, mainly is this disease occurs in the hands first. Okay, like mainly in the interphalangeal joints. It starts from interphalangeal joints and it spreads through all the joints. But please do remember the occurrence of this disease starts from your interphalangeal joints. Okay, as you have already known the Amavata Samprapti, the Ama is main causative for factor for the formation of Amavata. So due to Mandagni, Ama formation, which will travel through influence of the Vata, it will travel through all over the body, and especially in the joints, and Sansamsaya taking place in the Stula, first mainly in the smaller joints, then later in the bigger joints. So later it also includes bigger joints, but specially starts from the smaller joints, that is your interphalangeal joints. So that from that particular Samprapti, you can say that rheumatoid arthritis is very much similar to modern science what we compare it to. Okay, so let me start with the first slide. Rheumatoid arthritis. uh, about rheumatoid arthritis, it's an autoimmune. Please do remember this disease is autoimmune, which is specifically mainly autoimmune. Okay, I'm not going only to say that it is an autoimmune. Usually why I'm stressing it to saying is autoimmune is rheumatoid arthritis occurs in three different stages. First one is the autoimmune one, second degenerative, and third point is inflammatory. Okay, it can occur by any of the means, by these three means. First an autoimmune, degenerative, and then it is the inflammatory. So why we should know that? Because the line of treatment depends on it. Okay, so you have to understand whether it is occurred due to autoimmune. Autoimmune is nothing but your own immune system attacking your own cells. Okay, then the second point is inflammatory. Inflammatory is nothing but any infection leading into inflammation causing arthritis, that is inflammatory. Then third point is degenerative. Degenerative is nothing but as the age passes, age goes on, it becomes degenerative. So you may say that this particular person may enter into rheumatoid arthritis at any particular stage of life when he's growing older. Okay, so these three different stages in everybody's life, you can come to an understanding saying that rheumatoid arthritis is being caused. Find out the reason how and why it is caused, because it is very important for your diagnosis. Okay, and even for the treatment also. So rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disease that results in a chronic systemic inflammatory disorder that may affect many tissues and organs, but principally attacks synovial joints. Please do remember this point. It basically attacks your synovial joints. The synovial fluid which is in between the joints will come outside and accumulate in the joints. If it is inflamed, or if it is autoimmune, or if it is whatever arthritis if it is caused, then the synovial joint is being vitiated, and that particular synovial joint comes out of the joint and accumulates in between the joints. So there would be reason, for that particular reason you will be seeing a symptom as edema, or one more word you can say is a swelling, which is pitting type. When you press that particular swelling, you can see there's a thumb impression when you press on that. So we call it as petting type also. So that is a particular symptom where you can say the rheumatoid arthritis has been caused due to autoimmune. Okay. So coming to the prevalence here, it affects 1 to 3% of adult population. Female is to male ratio, you can see it is 3 is to 1. Okay. So why exactly, you can think even one particular point is why do females do suffer more rather than males? This particular point. One of the main cause, actually we do not have a particular cause. Please do remember, we do not have any reason how exactly it occurs in females more rather than the males. We can only predict and say that in females, due to menopausal stage, it can occur, or due to hormonal imbalance, it can occur. So there are plenty of changes taking place in a female human body. For those particular things, it may frequency of the disease in females is more rather than compared to the males. Okay. So the next point is peak age of onset. This is commonly seen in onset is 35 to 45. Please do remember. But when you say, like, give an example with autoimmune. Autoimmune, it doesn't exactly give us at this particular age it can occur. No. Okay. Because whenever your immune system is falling down, infection is rising inside your body, or your cells are destructing on its own, it can occur at any age. Okay. So we cannot predict at that particular age when it has been occurring. So for that reason, please do remember that age factor, when you say it is 35 to 45, but when you are thinking about autoimmune, one of the main reason, you can say that it can occur in any particular age. But according to my experience, I will definitely say if it is according to autoimmune, it occurs in 3 different stages of your life. Either in the, I mean, it will occur in, definitely it will occur in 3 stages. First in the young age, I mean in the childhood, then the young age, then the old age. In these 3 particular points, stages of each and everybody's life, they will suffer from autoimmune. Okay. If it is autoimmune, they will suffer from arthritis. Next, uh, what is the main diagnostic criteria for this? We have an ECR, American Council, where this particular criteria is fitting. Any 4 of this following criteria, if are seen in that particular patient, you can simply diagnose him to be as rheumatoid arthritis. Okay. Now, what are these particular symptoms? What you'll be seeing? First, morning stiffness. Please do remember, this is the main prime important symptom. Okay. Where you will see each and every patient, you will see the symptom. Early morning stiffness, what we call, when the patient wakes up in the morning, he will not be able to fold his hands. Okay. Or he will not be able to make a wrist or a punch. He cannot squeeze his interphalangeal joints. This will be prolonged. I mean, it may be up to 1 hour. Okay. Per day, when they wake up, at least in a lot of patients, at least a period of 15 minutes, you can see the patient will not be able to move his hands. So that type is called as morning stiffness. Okay. First of symptom. Second is arthritis. Arthritis is nothing but pain, effusion, swelling, and everything. Third, arthritis of the hand joints. Okay. I told you, peripheral and metacarpal. Okay. You can see all these particular joints are being vitiated. Symmetric arthritis. Symmetric arthritis means if it is occurring on the right side of your hand, it will definitely see within a week or so, you will definitely see it on left side of the hand also. Symmetrically, you have to compare. I've told you, rheumatoid nodule. Nodules are nothing but minor swellings in between the joints of the interphalangeal joints. Swelling in between interphalangeal joints are known to be as rheumatoid nodule. Okay. Positive rheumatoid factor. This is a test, RA factor, what we call it as. It's a blood test where we confirm whether it is positive or negative. Okay. We do not say it as a quantitatively wise. Okay. Qualitatively wise, we cannot say it. Quantitative, we can say whether it is present or not. That's it. How much it is present, we cannot come to know by this test, but it will exactly give you whether RA positive rheumatoid factor test. Okay. This is the test to diagnose RA. Blood test, which is to diagnose the rheumatoid arthritis. Then next, positive radiological changes. As I told you, symmetrical joint destruction, erosions, periarticular osteopenia. You will see in the X-rays about the different types of nodules in between the interphalangeal joints. Okay, I'll show you later how they are, what they are. This is regarding the classification of the rheumatoid arthritis. The metacarpal phalangeal joints, proximal interphalangeal joints, the interphalangeal joint of the thumb, second thumb metatarsal, all these in small joints, elbows, hip joints, knee, ankles, everything you can see that the vitiation of each and every joints are being involved. Okay, so what basically these are the scale what we are doing it in joint involvement. Just don't go, I'll just read it out for you. This is to see for the research purpose what you want to do. Joint involvement, how it is, you'll be seeing in the side, you can see 0 1 2 3 5, you are given the grades. So if these points are seen, if in one large joint you'll be reading like only it's in the initial stage. Okay, you need not have to worry. If it is seen 2 or 10 large bigger joints or smaller joints, any joints you take, then you grade it as 1. So depends on like that. Okay, joint involvement, serological test, acute phase reactants, and duration of the symptoms. Based on this you can grade and you can come to know how the progress of the disease is occurring in the patient. Okay, so next. Okay, pathology. It is usually combination of genetic and environmental factors, and definitely rheumatoid arthritis is also a genetic cause disease. If your parents and any siblings are suffering from it, you will definitely suffer with this disease. For this you can see that is a HLA-DR4. This is a gene which is associated inside your body. If this gene is present, then there's 100% chances that you will suffer from rheumatoid arthritis in your life, one day or the other. Okay, so if this gene is absent, there are chances like you may not get it by hereditary or genetics, but you may get it by different other means, so either by autoimmune or by inflammatory or by degenerative. Okay, so it is defined as an antibody against the FC portion of an IgG. Although clinical laboratories measure IgM, rheumatoid factor, other classes of RF have been described. Generally, believe that complexes of IgM rheumatoid factor with IgG can deposit in blood vessels and lead to vasculitis. Vasculitis is an inflammation in the vessels. Okay, so which causes different cause, and even it helps in the formation of arthritis. This is a cellular inflammation. How inflammation changes in the cellular level and causes arthritis. Inflammation in the joint activity can be intense. Monocyte is most responsible for mediating tissues. Vessels also invade, leading to degradation of articular cartilage, menisci, and ligaments without restriction. Okay, inciting causes is like hepatitis B vaccine, which is rare. A lot of people have this vaccine, but this also may trigger into the formation of arthritis. You know, there are plenty of side effects with a lot of drugs involved in our day-to-day activities. So if you're involving them, then they will definitely cause hepatitis B vaccine. Okay. So synovitis, what is the main disease in this particular point? Synovitis, normally delicate synovial membrane becomes infiltrated and with macrophages, lymphocytes, plasma cells, and granulocytes. Synovitis in rheumatoid arthritis invades cartilage, ligaments, and subchondral bone. Rheumatoid nodule, central fibrinoid necrosis surrounded by palisades of histiocytes, and it is seen in the 30% cases. I'll go with the presentation, how exactly it occurs in the patient. I do not want to enter into more into the pathology for you, because you try to understand how it is caused. What are the main factors for it? Monocyclic, you can say it is only involved in only one or two included joints, which is nearly around 10% of people suffering from it, and it occurs only one attack. It comes only once in your whole lifetime, not again and again. Okay. If it is polycyclic, nearly around 45% of this particular patients, you can see it variable. The duration may change when it comes. The changes, like it may stay for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, like that, but the severity and intervals are more. Okay, it may come and go in the intervals wise, but specifically. Okay, and the severity will be very high. You can see that the patient will have severe pain. Okay, because that's one of the main causative symptom actually to say. Even in Ayurvedic also, in our text we have mentioned Vrishchika Dankshavatta Vedana. Vrishchika is nothing but a scorpion, bite of a scorpion how it bites, and you see the severe pain when the patient is suffering. That type of pain you will be seeing in those particular patients in all the joints. Okay, whichever the joints are infected, you can see those joints, and that type of severe pain, vrishchika damshavat vedana, you will be seeing. This Lakshan is more predominantly seen in Ayurvedic. And early morning stiffness, tabdata. This is very, very important. These two symptoms where you can clinically able to diagnose the patient whether he's entering into rheumatoid arthritis or not. Okay, so next two point is say like whether it is progressive. Progressive, you mean like it may, because there are a lot of patients, if when it is including in the first joint, when it occurs in the first single interphalangeal joints, then it starts growing. Okay, it starts growing in all the interphalangeal joints, both the hands, both the legs, then it goes into bigger joints. Okay, so progressive is 45%, you can see it's unremitting. It will, but the frequency is less, but it may occur again and again and again in different stages of life, not in different particular year or so. Okay, so that is why we call it unremitting. What are the clinical manifestations you can see? Okay, clinical manifestations, you can see there is symmetrical polyarthralgia. Symmetrical means both the hands, both the legs, or anything. You'll be seeing polyarthralgia is, poly means two or more, arthralgia is pain in the joints. So you will be seeing more involvement of more than two joints. Morning stiffness and fatigue are common. These three are very important and they are most commonly seen. Morning stiffness results from increase in extracellular fluid in and around the joint. Okay, because early morning stiffness will be more because the extracellular fluid accumulates a lot in between the joints. Later on, there will be limitation of motion. I mean, they will not be able to move the joint properly. Okay, due to pain or joint destruction. Predilection of wrists and hands, then multiple joints, peripheral joints and wrists are first to become symptomatic. May be like the interphalangeal joints are first, and multiple joints are also even mainly, you can see it starts in 2 or 3 joints at a time. Okay, this ulnar deviation and swan neck deformity are common. Swan neck deformity, you can say that you have seen a lot of pics regarding that. We have shown you already while describing you in musculoskeletal disorders. Swan neck deformity is one where you can just invert the fork, what we eat with the help of a spoon and fork, right? The fork, you just invert it upside down. The shape of that particular fork, you will see your hand like that when you keep your hand on the table. Okay, so that's what we call it as swan neck deformity. Here you can see that around the joints, in the second pic, the two pics together, you can see there are rheumatoid nodules. Okay, and see the side interphalangeal joints, how they are changed, they are swollen. Okay, and there are early morning stiffness which not be able to visualize properly. Okay, so around the joints there is warmth. Please do see these signs. These are the signs. Okay, warmth, redness, swelling, pain, limitation in the joint motion. General, there is sickness, tiredness and fever. Okay, extra-articular manifestations. Okay, we don't want to go into these diseases more, please. Cervical spine in rheumatoid. Okay, fine, we can go with this one. See, there is, as I told you, it can occur in any part of the joint, but mainly it starts with the smaller joints. Whichever joint it has been occurring, from there it starts spreading to each and every joint. In cervical spine, involvement is common in rheumatoid arthritis up to 90%. You can see the right side of the corner, the gap between the two joints are reduced. You can, from the top you can see second and the third vertebra, it's compressed and diminished. You can see irregular shapes of that particular vertebrae. Okay, by which particular this thing, the patient will have severe pain in the neck and he will not be able to move his neck to left, right or up and down. Okay, so this is the one of the main you will be seeing. In the presentation, you can see this neck pain, neurologic involvement, myelopathy and radiculopathy. Investigation, you can go with an X-ray. If you want a clear image, you can go with an MRI also. Okay, you don't go on to the surgery treatment and all. You can go for surgery, and there are plenty other things also for it. So we do not want to enter into that. Here you can see there is a swan neck deformity. Right, the seventh point, swan neck deformity of the fingers. Can you see that the finger is crossed a little bit and it's bended down. Okay, DIP. It is flexion and bend. This is called as swan neck deformity. Okay, this is in the elbow. This is about the rheumatoid foot. Okay, lab tests. What are the tests you want to go for the rheumatoid arthritis? The tests which can be included here. Okay, basically to start with, I'll go with the CBC. Why I'm going with CBC is you will be dealing with the hemoglobin, WBCs and ESR. ESR is mentioned here. If ESR is elevated in, it's an RA patient also, whatever, if it is, if it's a newly diagnosed patient, you just see his ESR. If it is elevated, it's a good indicator for you to understand that it is being caused due to inflammation. Okay, so it's caused due to inflammation. That is the reason why it is. So increase of ESR will lead into rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, it just indicates you whether the presence of it. So mainly how it is indicated, see, why I'm saying this is because you have to guess whether it has been due to autoimmune, due to degenerative, or due to inflammation. So if it is due to inflammation, then the ESR will definitely be raised. If it is due to autoimmune, then there are other particular things to be tested around. So if ESR is increased in this thing, you should mainly think that it is mainly caused due to inflammation. So when you know how it is caused, and based on that only your prognosis will be depending. So for that particular reason, you should understand how it is increased and why it is increased. Okay, so to rule out autoimmune, okay, then you have to go for IgG and IgM tests. These are the immunoglobulins which will definitely indicate you. And one more point is that one more test is C-reactive protein, CRP. If CRP is also increased, it will indicate that the inflammation as well as autoimmune, okay, both simultaneously run with each other, ESR as well as C-reactive. This will indicate inflammation as well as autoimmune. So autoimmune, you please try to understand the IgG, IgM, that is antibody antigen test, and anti-CCP antibody. Okay, that is anti-cyclic citrullinated peptide antibodies. This will 100% confirm your autoimmune disorders. Okay, so to differentiate whichever means it is being caused, degenerative, at least you will come to know. Degenerative, as the old age occurs, it will definitely occur. And while even reading in Ayurvedic part of science, you will be dealing with two types of samprapti in Amavata. One is Dhatukshayajanya and one is Avaranajanya. Okay, Dhatukshayajanya is nothing but the what we compare, not exactly correlating, we compare it to degenerative changes, degenerative cause due to rheumatoid arthritis. It is very much similar to Dhatukshayajanya. One more is Avaranajanya. Avaranajanya, it can occur in any particular age or time, whereas Dhatukshaya occurs only in old ages. Okay, but in Avaranajanya, due to Margavarodha, in that particular time it can occur in any particular age, like young age, child, and even in old age also. So it completely depends. Okay, so based on this, you can able to diagnose. In Ayurvedic, we are differentiated into some praptis. Here in modern also, we are differentiated into three. Okay, autoimmune, degenerative, and inflammatory. Try to know this because it all depends on your treatment. Suppose I'll give you an example now. If a patient comes with rheumatoid arthritis, okay, with the signs and symptoms, you do the test and all. The next main thing is, how will you exactly come to know which type of rheumatoid arthritis it has been caused due to? So if it is an autoimmune, okay, let's give me an example. I'll go with a degenerative. If a 60 years old is coming near you, now it is degenerative, you will think according to age it has been occurred this one. So even his cell, bones, everything will diminish. You'll easily say it is degenerative. If it is not degenerative, say imagine like a patient is coming near with a 40 years of old. Now it is not definitely due to degenerative. You will rule out degenerative. Now remains only is autoimmune and inflammatory. So how will you exactly come to know it is autoimmune or inflammatory? Here one thing you can find out is his habits. Okay, whatever his lifestyle, everything you have to go through. See for his genetical causes also. Okay, usually if it is inflammatory, as I told you, you just check for the C-reactive protein and even for the ESR, which is raised like anything. Okay, if it is inflammatory. If it is caused due to autoimmune, there are anti-CCP and there are IgG, IgM to rule out whether it is autoimmune or not. Okay, the first test is rheumatoid factor. This is Rose-Waller test, what we also is called as. So this will say that whether the patient is suffering from rheumatoid arthritis or not. Yes or no, that's it. It will say, it will exactly come to know that this particular patient is there, but it will not tell you how it is causing. Okay, but which means it is causing, we will not able to tell it. Okay, so this you can say that 80% of the patients will definitely be ruled out by this particular help of this particular test. There's one more, synovial fluid analysis. We usually do not do this over here, because if there's any severe infection while drawing synovial fluid from any particular part of the joint, there may be plenty of risk factors. So you will be able to damage that particular joint. So we don't do this unless frequent. There's of rheumatic until unless if it is must and necessary. Fever also, in that particular condition also, you can say that can occur. Okay. This is regarding the X-ray early changes, what you will be seeing in those particular point. X-rays will give you very good image technology, where you can initially at least come to know how it is. This is the knee joint in the right point, below you can see, right? You can, everybody can see this thing, how it is mainly. See, the gap between the two joints are reduced. It has been exposed, so we will not be able to visualize. You can easily visualize it, but the patient cannot be able to move his legs, whichever part of the joint it is. It cannot be able to move, and early morning stiffness will also be seen a lot in that particular patients. Okay, differential diagnosis. That's a very important point in differential diagnosis to deal about. What are the differential? Mostly, commonly, if you're seeing in nowadays, if in our hospitals at least, you can see is it's mainly the disease what I've told you, autoimmune and whatever. Based on that, you can go with osteoarthritis, okay, gout, okay, several SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus, Lyme disease, ankylosing spondylitis. Ankylosing spondylitis is very, very much equal to IVDP, that is like intravertebral disc prolapse. Ankylosing spondylitis, catechisula category, which is much more related, because it starts mainly from your spine, and then it will spread to different parts of the body. I mean, like different joints of the body. You can see everywhere it is affected. Okay, so ankylosing spondylitis also, hepatitis C, sarcoidosis, amyloidosis, Whipple's disease, hemochromatosis, acute rheumatic fever. In rheumatic fever also, you will be able to see this disease is most commonly you can see in them. Okay, juvenile rheumatoid arthritis is nothing but one of the main thing is occurs below the age of 16 years in the patients who are below 16. Juvenile is like children's. Okay, so here in arthritis is if it's one or more joints are affected, symptoms are at least last for 6 weeks. Okay, it lasts for 6 weeks. Then onset of this particular disease is in polyarthritic or systematic exclusion or the form of arthritis. Types you can see co-articular, polyarticular, systemic diseases also. Okay, please do not go. This is one of the point, HLA-B27. Please do remember this is a gene. Okay, HLA-B4 I have told you it is a gene in rheumatoid arthritis. HLA-B27 is for spondylitis, ankylosing spondylitis. This is a gene which mainly see. Okay, so don't go with more complications and all. This is regarding the rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, so now I'll be dealing you with rheumatic fever. Rheumatic fever is one of the complications associated with the strep throat. It is relatively serious illness that usually appears in children at the age of 5 to 15. Okay, it also occurs in the adult also, but one of the main causative factors why we are taking rheumatic fever also is, please do remember that rheumatoid arthritis, if it is not able to be controlled with the treatment, then there are chances that the patient will end up into rheumatic fever. Okay, so please do not consider rheumatoid arthritis and rheumatic fever as same. and you should not consider like rheumatic fever also is having very much similar symptoms with rheumatoid arthritis. No, it's completely a different disease. Okay, but it is mainly caused with the help of rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, rheumatoid arthritis may be a causative factor for rheumatic fever. Okay, so in this rheumatic fever also you will see there is strep throat. There is a throat infection is more, and there is severe pain in the joints. I'll deal with the signs and symptoms for you. But coming to the prevalence, you can see it is most commonly seen in South African people a lot compared to South Africa. It's very rare in India and as well as in states also. Okay, so what are the main causes for rheumatic fever? Rheumatic fever is mainly caused by a bacterium, uh, like bacterium infection with a group of streptococcus. Okay, streptococcus bacterium is the main particular cause for rheumatic fever. Okay, this bacteria causes strep throat, or in the small percentage of people the scarlet fever, what we call. Okay, it's an inflammatory disease. Okay, this is a inflammatory disease. Rheumatic fever causes the body to attack its own tissues. This reaction causes widespread inflammation throughout the body, which is the basis of all symptoms of rheumatic fever. Got it? So I hope you can understand what are the causes for rheumatic fever. Rheumatic fever causes mainly is rheumatoid arthritis is one of the main cause. Then it may be a bacterial infection also, that is Streptococcus A bacterial infection, which also causes strep throat along with scarlet fever. Okay. So what exactly here happens is like how it causes with rheumatic fever causes the body to attack its own tissues. It will attack its own tissues. This reaction causes widespread inflammation throughout the body, which is the basis of all the symptoms of rheumatic fever. Now coming to the symptoms, what symptoms you will be seeing in the rheumatic fever? First point, please do remember when you get any type of patients related to rheumatic fever, you please have to see it is mainly caused due to inflammation. So inflammation, if is seen in any part of the body, then it spreads throughout the whole body. So whichever the whole body is infected, excuse me, infected or inflammation is there, first thing to observe is to see their lymph nodes. So examine their lymph nodes, see whether there is tender or swollen. Okay, tender and swollen lymph nodes should be seen or observed. Red rashes, see for the rashes all over the body. This difficulty in swallowing. Thick bloody discharge from the nose, there will be nose bleeding also can be seen. Then the temperature might be raised nearly up to 101 degree Fahrenheit. Okay, tonsils that are red and swollen, tonsils with white patches or pus, small red spots on the roof of the mouth. Please do observe the oral cavity of the patient and see if there is any type of a red spots in the oral cavity. Usually the patient will also be having suffering from other symptoms like headache, nausea and vomiting. Okay, so these are the typical symptoms, or these are the things what the doctors will be specifically seeing in the patients. Okay, uh, there are, you should just observe for these things. So commonly symptoms I have told you: the chest pain, rapid fluttering, lethargy, nosebleeds, stomach pain, painful or sore joints, red red sorry red patches all over the body or in the oral cavity, pain in the one joint, then red hot swollen joints, shortness of the breath, fever, sweating, vomiting, a decrease in attention span, uncontrollable movements of the hands, feet and face. These are the common things you can see, symptoms you can see in the rheumatic fever. Okay, now after symptoms, how will you come to know the diagnosis? What are the mm, how will you diagnose it? Like how, with the first thing you have to go with the physical examination, see for the redness in any part of the body, see whether the swollen joints are present or not. Then you can look for a rash or a skin, listen to the heart beats, then perform movement tests to determine nervous system dysfunction, then see the throat and take a blood sample also if you want, or you can take a sample from the throat to see any bacterial infection from them. Then you can go for an ECG also, which will indicate rheumatic fever, will indicate if rheumatic fever is present inside the body, there are chances like it may vitiate even the cardiovascular system. So that is the main reason why a lot of patients develop into cardiac vascular system suffering from rheumatic fever. So you have to check their heart rate and go for the ECG and see whether it is functioning or not, because what happens mainly is due to excessive inflammation and infection inside the body, it directly enters into your heart, which may direct and trigger or help in the formation of an MI. So that's makes more chances where you can end up into the formation of an MI. So we need to check the cardiovascular system also. Okay, so these are the things what you want to do, but please do remember one more point is risk factors in this. Risk factors mainly is the family history, like the genetics. If the patient are having suffering from rheumatic fever frequently, there will be chances. So genetically, you have to see whether they have that history or not, and you have to rule out whether they are getting exposed to any bacterial infection, that is streptococcus infection. So you can take a blood smear also, you can take a saliva also to see the presence of the streptococcus examination. You can do it. Okay, so then is the environmental factors where people doing staying in developing countries such as like in overcrowding in such particular regions also, you can see that they are more exposed into different forms of bacterial infections. So that is the reason why there are more chances to get into it. So make sure you are maintaining a clean and hygiene place wherever you are. But if it is occurred due to genetically, then I don't think so we have any other choice, because you have to get treated along it. Because in most of the developed countries actually, in rheumatic fever we have a very less saying like we have one particular lab test, that is ASO, anti-streptomycin O. ASO is a test to confirm rheumatic fever. Okay, please do remember, if you do this particular test, you will be able to find out whether the patient is suffering from rheumatic fever or not. But the line of treatment for rheumatoid arthritis and rheumatic fever will completely change, and your diagnosis also will change. Because I'll just give you one example saying like rheumatoid arthritis, to diagnose you can go with an RA test. For rheumatic fever to diagnose, you can go with an ASO test. So with these two tests, at least perfectly you can able to diagnose this disease, and the signs and symptoms completely vary in rheumatoid arthritis as well as rheumatic fever. So in rheumatic fever, you will be seeing rashes in the joints or in the any part of the body or in the oral cavity, whereas in rheumatoid arthritis you will not see any type of rashes there. You'll be only seeing the swelling, pain, tenderness in those particular joints. Okay, and it mainly affects in the smaller joints. In rheumatic fever, it can occur in any particular joints because it's completely spreading. But please do remember what, in the point of view as a doctor, you have to examine his lymph nodes in each and every part of the body, because due to high inflammation or inflammation, this there are chances that the lymph nodes are swollen. So, and if once the lymph nodes are getting swollen or inflamed, the major particular symptom you will be seeing is fever. Okay, the patient will give you the symptom of fever. So there are chances where you can easily diagnose how and how it can be occurred. Okay, treatment changes, so do not want to go into the treatment aspect now, but I hope you people are able to understand what is rheumatoid arthritis and what is rheumatic fever. Okay, so if you have any doubts, people, please you can ask me. Yeah, I hope you people are not sleeping, huh? Yes, people, wake up. It's the time to wake up now. Just tell me any doubts if you please have. Just let me know. Either you ask me the questions or I will ask you the questions. Anything is fine with me.